because I think I have this set. And if we do have it working, then we're just going to roll with it. So let me share this real quick with you guys. Share some sound. She congratulated Van on the on Facebook. Holy shit! Holy moly! Between you and I, and everyone here, that is not the AWS favorite person. Wow, that is not the AWS favorite person. And I'm not saying for me or Jared. I'm saying just like, yeah, the roster, the training school, she is, yeah. I believe it. Yeah, she has not been well received, nor should she be, really. But yeah, I did chuckle a little bit. I was gonna send it to because Christina knows her too, and Christina also is not a fan. I was gonna tell her, but no, I told you guys first because she's working. So I'm like, hey, look at that. Because Christina loves Van, she loves Victoria, hates Gigi. I should say that's strong. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but she's not, from an outsider's perspective. I will not confirm nor deny her actual, if she's voiced anything, but it's not the biggest fan of her, and I thought that was super funny. I'm like, hey, look, Gigi's congratulating Van. What do you know? What are the odds on that one? Okay, do you guys hear music? You're welcome. Okay, is this a better level, or is it still pretty? How's this? Is this better than it was? Okay, hold on. Maybe I didn't put it where it should be. Oop, wrong way. Yeah, why is it so loud today? Okay. Okay, is that better? It's like not turning down. Okay, well, we either have silence or blast out Ricky's eardrums. That's all we have for the music levels. Alrighty, so let's just jump live and see what happens. So, FYI, we are live now. Well, whenever it... I think so. Okay, so... Got it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. If you are jumping on, this is Gabriel Anders with the whole At Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly crew with me. And you are... If you're jumping on and hearing us, you're hearing us figure out this whole Facebook Live thing. So this is the show before the show where we are getting everything started. So, all right, boys. Well, you about ready to go then? Get the show started. Looks like everything's up and running.
Yes, sir.
All righty.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. And this is Gabriel Anders. You are here with myself on At Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly. And I am here. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of things, all AWF related. I'm here with my co-hosts, Richie Vegas and JP Yeager. Richie, why don't you say hi to the people as we're jumping on here for the first time. At Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly is on Facebook Live.
Welcome to our weekly... I won't use the term. Oh, yes, I'll say circus. Welcome to our weekly circus of sorts, circus of opinions, because they're all differing and they all perform in different ways, I'd say. We love to have you here, whether you're first-time listeners, long-time listeners, or somewhere in between. Tonight, we're going to discuss the results of Summer Explosion and then potentially go over some of the announcements for the upcoming Overdrive show which is going to be our show coming up in August 14th. So, and I believe tickets have been live for that. Am I right, Gabriel?
You are correct on a number of fronts, so most likely, no, not most likely, we're certainly going to go over the announcements. Tickets have been made available, so if you're listening to this, go to ArizonaWrestlingFederation.com. Tell your friends and family, let them know they're available there too. And we are going to cover everything you just mentioned. But before we do, JP Yeager is in the house, everybody. Let's go ahead and, JP, why don't you introduce yourself to the people here? And let us know where you're at tonight. Where are you flying out of tonight?
Hello, team. It is the house of the of the card. I believe we've had a bar 24. I'll just simply spoil this by saying, no, I'm freaking you so. And we'll talk Earth. I'm flying right now at a big party in the Philippines, and we'll talk about that.
Well, the powers that be seem to have silenced JP Yeager just a tad bit. They're definitely scrambling your message, but you know what? I'm not going to quite spoil them. I'm going to give you once you get that worked out, JP, the ability to spoil them. But Richie, you know the beans that JP was just trying to spill, don't you?
I do indeed, and I'm sure we're going to go over it, but we've got a duo of new champions to talk about.
We do. So first and foremost, we are going to start off. Yeah, JP, I guess we are going to spill your beans here. So I'll do the first one, and then I'll kick it over to you, and you can go ahead and do your probably favorite of the two champions next. That sound good to you, JP? Alrighty, so first and foremost, we're gonna congratulate here at Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly. It's gonna congratulate Viva Van. Last night's win over Brittany Brooks makes her not only the new AWF Women's Champion, but the first ever, guys, two-time AWF Women's Champion in AWF history. So congratulations, Viva Van. And then secondly, we crowned another new champion. And JP, I think that is that what you were about to go ahead and chime in there? I'll let you do the honors if you'd like for this congratulations there.
One of these days, you plebes are going to hear my words and take what I say to them, because your new AWF Arizona State Wrestling Champion, the icon himself, Jordan. I tell you folks, did I not tell you plebes who was going to be walking out of Arizona with that belt? Did I not tell you who the best superstar in this business today is? Yeah, one of these days you'll listen to me.
Yep.
I never did. I agreed with you. Jordan had a high chance of winning that match.
Yeah, and I want to say he was not I don't think he was my pick. However, you know, I think we all knew competitively that he definitely stood a chance. Why are you so angry at us all, JP?
Angry? Oh, I'm not angry at Mr. Vegas by any stretch of the imagination. Now, I know that there's a lot of pleas out there listed have this mindset that, you know, Jordan's been on some kind of adverse streak. But as I said, he is undefeated for 4 years and going strong. And this is his first battle he'll be taking home. Trust me, this is one of many titles that he'll be taking home. This is just a stepping stone for him. But believe me, he will not be relinquishing that belt anytime soon. And watch last night, man, it was just a thing of beauty watching him take home that belt. It was like taking candy from a baby. Except in this case, he took it from 3 babies.
Yeah, and he certainly made a case. If you were not a believer in Jordan Cruz before, well, I guess we'll sort of go into the details and let you form your own opinion. One thing that the Phoenix crowd was not a fan of is the Milwaukee Bucks jersey. Well, we'll get into all that in just a tad bit. But before we do, JP, I know there's one. I feel like you were calling out one person in particular over on Thursdays here on RGTR Red Gold Talk Radio. While we're on that subject, if you want to give a little insight as to what Kings of the Round Table is, and if you have anything to air in that regard, because I know there tends to be a Jordan Cruz non-believer over there.
Well, you know, he's from Philadelphia. Of course, he's a non-believer, you know, but bottom line is this: every Thursday night's the round table. the top sports radio show that has ever been put on the radio. It's got myself, it's got Jordan Cruz. We're on there talking pro wrestling, professional sports. We're on there giving our expertise now.
Right, and you can catch them every single Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on RGTR Red Gold Talk Radio. And Jordan Cruz, new AWF state champion, also a host on that alongside JP Yeager, the man to our side, and HD, along with their cast of, I don't know, I was going to say bandits. I don't know, miscreants? Is that what you're, miscreants, misfits?
They're plebes, just like the AWF Nation. They're just a couple of plebes that hang along for the ride, too. And trust me, there's plenty of room on the bandwagon for you AWF folks. Get on board now. Listen to Kings at the Round Table every Thursday night.
Yep, and plebes nonetheless, although JP might be calling them that, they know their stuff when it comes to sports, so you'll want to tune in each and every Thursday night. Now, to give you guys a rundown of the show, I'm going to run through the results here. That's what we're going to do. Open the show with, just to let you guys know the winners, losers, and the outcomes. You already know the new champions. First, I'm going to kick it over to you, Richie. What were your thoughts as you watched Summer Explosion unfold last night in Phoenix, Arizona at the new AWF Arena?
I mean, to give you my top three, it was a treat seeing Jimmy Jacobs take on Andy Palafox. That was probably one of my favorite matches of the year. Just, again, that comes from how much I enjoyed Jimmy Jacobs' previous work, but that was such a great match. That has to be up there for me. The gauntlet match itself was entertaining as all get out. I mean, seeing Chubby Depp make it as far as he did, seeing Chubby Depp actually eliminate Ray Black. Now, even though that was done via disqualification, Chubby had him on the ropes to the point where Ray got so frustrated he had to choke him out, which the referee AB did not see kindly to, and that ended up causing the disqualification, which allowed Chubby to move on. And then lastly, I have to appreciate the tag match with Cookies and Cream versus Brothers of Wrestling. That was just a treat to watch.
That was most definitely, and seeing two legendary AWF teams go at it, although I think there was some frustration, which we'll get into a little more detail in a bit. JP, your thoughts as you watched the action unfold last night?
Simple facts, like my man Richie said. What a delight it was to see Jimmy Jacobs, a man who is well-traveled, who is, dare I say, a legend of this sport, get in there and do the damn thing. What an outstanding performance that he put on there last night, as he always did. I'm a big Pete the Heat fan, so I'm a big fan of Jay Garland, so I always, enjoy seeing Cookie and Cream back in action. Team, I believe, since 2018, 2019, so that was a plus for me. How about that LT? How about that LT Chris Evans match, man? I mean, talk about some interesting developments. That was worth the price of admission in its own right. And I mean, we all know what I was looking for most. We all know what I was excited for last night. I mean, that's a foregone conclusion. My boy Jordan, the Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Arizona Wrestling Federation, sticking the dagger in the hearts of the AWF Nation, just like the Bucks did the Suns last week. Beautiful, great night of action.
Yep, and that most certainly. See, I imagine that would be right on the top of your list. So, again, we did carve out some time. We'll discuss that one. And before we do, let's go ahead and give you a complete rundown of the night's the event as it unfolded. So we're looking at the 2021 AWF Summer Explosion event. Took place in the city of Phoenix, Arizona. The how would you guys state it? The unseasonably cool due to the monsoon Phoenix, Arizona yesterday at the new AWF Arena. Maximum capacity crowd with the hostess, I guess you would, the ring announcer, Miranda Morales, the referee of record, or head official of the night was AB, and you guys want to get right into the results and everything, how they played out last night? That was a question.
Let's
Sorry,
roll,
fellas. All right, let's do it.
Let's get into it. I'm ready.
I think I just Ron Burgundy'd you guys. I'm Ron Burgundy. So, alrighty. So, results for the AWF Summer Explosions are as is. So, the Brothers of Wrestling defeated Cookies and Cream via disqualification. Pete the Heat Petrocelli appeared not to. We'll go into these in detail too, so I'm going to stop myself there before we get in. So, Brothers of Wrestling defeated Cookies and Cream via disqualification in a tag team match. Aiden Colt defeated Paradox via pinfall, which big surprise there, so we'll definitely be talking about that one. Jay Vidal defeated Ricky Reyes in singles competition via a submission. Chris Evans defeated Lawrence Tyler. The AWF Women's Championship was on the line. Brittany Brooks coming in as the champion. Of course, as we heard a little bit earlier in the segment, Viva Van able to be victorious over Brooks and regain the AWF Women's Championship. AWF State Championship, of course, the winner and new AWF State Champion is Jordan Cruz and was able to defeat the likes in a gauntlet match of former champion Ray Black, Chubby Depp, Joey Hendricks, and Nino Black. And the main event of the evening was Andy Palafox defending AWF champion with the title on the line against Jimmy Jacobs. And Andy Palafox was able to retain his AWF championship over Jimmy Jacobs. So, wow, what a night of action, guys, huh?
Oh, just make one thing abundantly clear here. What title did Jordan win again? What title was that again?
The AWF State Championship.
Okay, let me rephrase that. This from now and forevermore will be referred to as the Milwaukee Championship. Get it right.
Ooh, now that's Richie, that's a low blow, isn't it?
That's I'm not going to comment on that one.
Yeah, that is a bit of a low blow. So, of course, what JP is referring to is that what JP is referring to, of course, if you don't know, the Phoenix Suns have lost the NBA Finals. That was about mid last week. Is that about right, time frame wise? So,
yeah.
Apparently, Jordan Cruz, and I'm assuming JP that you had something to do with it. I would imagine you're a major investor into the altering of his music. They made I think there was a special mix made for the night that included the last call of the Milwaukee Bucks, the winning the NBA Finals, as well as the jersey that he wore. I'm pretty sure you had a pretty heavy hand in that, right, JP?
I placed a few phone calls, got on the phone line with my good friend Mike Bodenholzer, the head coach of Milwaukee Bucks. And I said, look, Mike, my boy Jordan, you're friends with us. We've partied. We went on a victory celebration. We were up in Milwaukee in the parade. I said, my boy Jordan's going to be going down and winning a title of his own and breaking Arizona's heart again. What can we do? And he's like, you know what? Take our clips, wear our jersey. Well, connections, my man. Connections. The most connected men in the business today.
Yeah, I think so. So what you're saying, so that was actually handpicked and given to him by the Greek Freak himself? Because that's what I was hearing in the locker room, at least from Jordan's mouth.
Oh, Giannis did directly hand him the jersey. He did. Mike Budenholzer took us backstage after, he took us behind the scenes after the parade. And, he said, we respect you guys because we are superstars and you're superstars as well. And, like-minded individuals, champions cling together. So Giannis literally took the jersey right off his back and handed it to Jordan Cruz.
Yeah, well, and now if you didn't happen to catch it, now the jersey lies in the rafters of the new AWF arena after Joey Hendricks was I don't know how much how friendly you guys are now afterwards, but Hendricks got some pretty good launch. Did you catch the hang time, Richie, on the from the launch point of Hendricks as he threw the said Bucks jersey, almost coming to the defense of the Phoenicians? And I think it's still up there. I think it's still up in the rafters somewhere. I don't know if the maintenance crew was able to get it or not.
As the non-official record keeper for the AWF shows, I would like to say that it had an official hang time of 3.8 seconds.
Oh, it's Richie Vegas with the stats, everybody. Richie Vegas. So, yeah, an insane night of action. So, where do we start? Want to start at the beginning? Let's go right into the tag team match. So, Brothers Wrestling, Cookies and Cream, Richie Vegas, what's your take? What did you see in this match when you were watching it last night?
A lot of surprises. The match itself was surprisingly even. Neither team really had an advantage the entire match. And the finish was rather surprising. Pete the Heat snapping at the behest of Jay Garland. Pete the Heat snapping and introducing that steel chair into the match, which ended up causing a disqualification where in a match that was, again, even-sided, even until the end. I feel like without the introduction of that steel chair, Cookies and Cream could have won the match fairly.
We won't let R3 know that you said that, nor Evan Daniels. However, I think,
well, again,
right
they
on the
won, and
money.
they earned that victory. I can't take that away from them. Like I said, the match was evenly matched the entire time, and good on Daniels and R3 for winning. They earned the victory, but at the same time, not only like they may have earned the victory, but Pete the Heat kind of handed it to them by losing his temper. If Pete the Heat would have contained himself, they still could have won the match, but so could Cookies and Cream.
And I think that's the biggest thing that it boils down to. Because did you see Jay Garland's reaction after the match? Because
he looked heartbroken.
Yeah, it certainly that was not. I don't think that was the game plan for Cookies and Cream going in. I definitely don't think that. That I don't think this was an exit strategy. I think it was sort of Pete just getting, like you said, getting frustrated. They haven't been in action for a while. Jay Garland just returned at the Wild Card Rumble. Pete, of course, we've been seeing for a few months, just sort of playing the disruptor, as he's known to do. Speaking of known to do, when it comes to Pete the Heat, JP, you're very familiar with the man, Mr. Petroselli there. What did you see when watching this? What do you think sort of led Pete to sort of snap and basically cost him and his partner the match?
Pete has always been a take no prisoners type of person, and he's a very game plan oriented individual. And when he sees that things aren't lockstep with what he's doing, he'll find his own way to take matters into his own hands. So, Pete was realizing, look, we're not gonna allow the indignity of continuing to see this train go off the rails. So I'll take matters into my hand and I'll take this win for myself. That was Pete.
Yeah, one has to wonder though, as much taking the matters into his own hands. Okay, I definitely get that, but at the same token, where does that leave Cookies and Cream?
Here's the whole thing about Pete, and if you remember, who was the man that started that, the Lawrence Tyler ascension back into the top of the rankings? I mean, it was his feud. It was his feud with Pete that really lit that fire under Lawrence again. Well, Pete, seeing where Lawrence has gone since their rivalry had reached its boiling point and came to a head. I mean, I'm wondering if Pete is starting to have bigger eyes on a bigger prize rather than Cookies and Cream. Yeah, it was nice to see the Beatles back together for one more night. But when Paul McCartney's putting out great hits, does he need Ringo Starr around?
This is true. So So to go ahead and actually we're up against a break. We're coming up quickly on it, but we know that we will see the Beatles for at least whether or not there's any dissension or anything, after as a result of the match and the actions of Pete that we saw. We do know that they will be in action. So right as we are getting towards coming up on our first break, it has been announced, as well as, oh boy, are you guys following us on the Facebook and the Twitter and everything? If so, did you guys see, because I know you guys are following all the matches for Overdrive. I think if this isn't the full card, I don't know I don't know. We're in for a treat at Overdrive VIII on August the 14th, but Cookies and Cream will be in action against said Brothers of Wrestling, as well as the Real Muddy Brothers. So, I guess, did you guys see that announcement there?
I did, and I'm excited to talk about it.
That is it, and we'll get to it a little bit later. We're going to take our first break here on At Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly, here on RGTR Red Gold Talk Radio. For those of you listening on Facebook Live, for just a few moments, we're going to go ahead and cut to a commercial break, which I think you guys might hear a little bit differently. Nonetheless, stay tuned, stick on, and do us a favor, share the post, share the live stream post, let everybody know listening. We're talking AWF Summer Explosion here on At Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to At Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly here on RGTR Red Gold Talk Radio, and for the first time ever, Facebook Live via the Arizona Wrestling Federation page. Do us a favor, give us a follow over there. You can get notifications, and the best thing, not only is JP Yeager jumping in the chat, not only are a couple fans jumping in there, I see there's some serial conversation and whatnot, but nonetheless, no other than Chubby Depp himself has graced us with his presence here in the AWF at Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly chats. He is chilling, eating some Frito-Lays, and enjoying the Fat Boy Summer, recovering from his Michael Jackson-themed rave. No doubt that was the after party to his participation in the Gauntlet match from last night. So, with that being said, we're back from break, guys. You guys want to go ahead and get into the next matches here?
Absolutely, I'm always ready.
Alrighty, JP, do we have you back as well?
And the gibberish. What the hell? I'm hearing myself, man. The gibberish being spouted in that chat is ruining my wild turkey buzz that I have going on. So all this talk about cereal and potato chips and all this other slovenly nonsense.
Breathe.
I realized Chubby. Now, granted, Chubby did do me a favor. I will say one nice thing about Chubby Depp on this show right now. Thank you for taking care of that foul miscreant Ray Black for me. That's the nicest and only nice thing I'll ever say about you. But now you're in there talking about Michael Jackson and chips and cereal.
Hey, don't bring Michael. What do you have against Michael Jackson, JP? Come on, Chubby just enjoys to enjoy himself. Yeah, he's dead, but the music lives on. Let the boy enjoy himself. Chubby, enjoy yourself at whatever themed raves or parties you want to attend to. JP, you don't have to go.
He wasn't enjoying himself last night too much, was he? Now, like I said, I was enjoying seeing him get that clown Ray Black out of the match, but see, he just was another victim at the end of the night, like I said he would be.
Oh, geez. You know, Richie, I hate to do this, but JP, you're right. So I'm sure Chubby was not enjoying himself nonetheless. We're going to get into that a little bit later. Somebody else who was not quite enjoying themselves, Paradox, at the hands of Aiden Colt, who was accompanied by Sprayboy Roy, SBR, to ringside. Richie, what were your thoughts watching the first ever AWF Wildcard Rumble winner, Aiden Colt, take on... Well, I mean, outside of maybe now only surpassed by either Chubby or Jordan Cruz, new AWF state champion, definitely on the same playing field. One of the hottest rising AWF stars, Paradox. What'd you see when you were watching this match?
I mean, a Paradox match is always a treat. Always high action, always high flying, always quick paced. But I think he got a little grounded by Aiden Colt last night. But again, I would leave the variable. If you take Sprayboy Roy out of the equation, I think Paradox would have walked away with that win.
You know, I think that I want to say you're right. I think was my guess. Aiden Colt, I believe, was going to take it. So I'm not flaunting that or bragging by any means. I think it was a hard fought battle. I think the experience did win out. But actually, before I sort of get into the ending of it, JP, when you're watching this match, Aiden Colt Paradox, what did you see? What did you take note of?
When I dropped my Jaeger bombs last week, what was the biggest thing I said in predicting this match, my man?
Ooh, refresh us. Refresh us in the listening audience, if you will.
3 words: strength in numbers. There was one thing Aiden Colt had, him coming into this match on Paradox, and that was he had his crew with him. He had, even if it was just Sprayboy Roy, there's something to be said when, you know, Paradox is a stud. I mean, Paradox is the hottest star in the AWF, not named Jordan Cruz today. But the bottom line is, when you're having to fight multiple people on the outside and you have to have eyes in the back of your head, it's very, very difficult, especially when you're wrestling a veteran like Aiden Colt, who has wrestled all around the world, fought men, fought women, fought clowns in the crowd. I mean, he's fought them all and beat more of them than he's lost to. That's already a tough task anyway. And then you've got his entourage with him. That's what, as Richie said, that's what caught up to him. Like I predicted last week, strength in numbers, my man, strength in numbers. And I know Paradox tries to be the nice guy and, you know, be the crowd favorite, but, you know, listen, sometimes it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of edge on you and get that alliances and get those people in your corner to prevent crap like this from happening.
Yeah, and I have to say, I definitely second that notion in the sense of I think the numbers were too much for the young Paradox. So it's weird because when you watch it, it's not so much that he couldn't handle it. I think the inexperience might have come into play because as the end of the match turned out, we saw Sprayboy Roy definitely making his impact felt as he normally does, and at the same token, we saw Paradox really able to manage it throughout the match. I think what I noticed when dealing with Sprayboy Roy now, first and foremost, we want to say that SBR will be reprimanded for his involvement in this match, because I think the one thing that you can definitely tell, and it's indismissible, there is video proof of it, there's far too much involvement in this match. However, not to the extent to where officials felt it necessary to overturn the decision. Aiden Colt did win cleanly, and I think the biggest thing that I saw, that I believe the officials saw, is Paradox sort of took a lackadaisical in disposing of Sprayboy Roy, sort of took his eye off the ball. Is that right, gents?
I wouldn't say he took his eye off the ball, but I would say he focused too much on getting a crowd reaction in the way he handled Sprayboy Roy, because the crowd was getting just as frustrated as anybody else. I think the way he handled Sprayboy Roy with involving getting the crowd reaction and involving pretty much not reacting to Sprayboy Roy spraying him in the face, I think he took for granted what was happening with Sprayboy Roy, allowing Aiden Colt to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and that's one of those things, JP, we've been around the block a bit, how, leaving yourself open. And when I say he took his eye off the ball, it's not a matter of focus by any means, because obviously we know Paradox has really made a name for himself over the course of the last 6 months to a year. Now, leaving open that opportunity, I want to say defines men and boys, but by no means am I calling Paradox a boy amongst men. But with the lesser experienced to, the veteran across the ring, do you think, because it looks like on the surface, do you think that's sort of what we saw, just that moment of lack of focus, allowing Aiden Colt to seize the opportunity? How big was, well, obviously that was big. He won the match, right? But, is this a learning experience? Do you see Paradox sort of overcoming it? What he experienced, JP, I guess that would be my biggest question. Do you think that he can overcome, or do you think he's going to beat himself up over it?
I think he's going to overcome this. And here's the biggest advice I want to give to you, Paradox. I know you're listening to this show. You were one of my first friends in the AWF back when once upon a time, I too gave a damn what these people thought. Let me give you some advice, my friend. You try, like my friend Richie said, you were sort of trying to get that, get the approval of these ham and eggers that were sitting ringside, and ham and eggers that stuffed that building. Let me tell you, fan support is more fickle than a Kardashian marriage. Okay, there are some people out there that have always had your back, and let me tell you, it ain't these Cheeto eating bums that can buy their tickets at the beginning for every show. It's people like myself. It's people like, it's people like Richie Vegas. Here's an offer to you. You and I have gone a long way back, and I know you've got your mindset. I know you're not Joey Hendricks. Now he has been excavated from this exclusive triangle that we have. There's an open space for you, Paradox. You've always got a place here, my man. You don't have to worry about these dingbats ever again with these dorks in the front row wearing their faded old T-shirts that they dug out behind a dumpster at a Goodwill in Mesa somewhere. Run with us, man. You'll never have to worry about this crap again.
Okay. JP, remember the recruiting rule. Choose your words wisely. Just remember the recruiting rule is all I'm going to say. I don't want to fight with you. But just remember the AWF officials, too, are listening. So...
using my words like Giannis chooses a shot from outside the key. He don't need to pull that shot up because he can just dominate on the inside, and that's what I'm doing, is dominating on the inside and dominating, building a dynasty. It ain't recruiting. I don't need to recruit, man. I'm like the SEC in football, my brother. The stars come flocking.
And indeed, the stars came flocking to the AWF arena in our next match. Well, Talk about another one of the just the cream of the crop of the prospects that have popped up in the last 6 months to a year, roughly outside that time frame. Jay Vidal able to defeat Ricky Reyes, who is certainly on his rise. JP, let me start with you. What did you see in this match between the resident? I can't say it on. We've established I can say it on here, right? The resident bad bitch of the AWF versus Ricky Reyes, who's starting to show a little bit of a mean streak.
Well, first off, I tip my cap to Ricky Reyes. It did not take him long to realize exactly that fan support isn't worth the Charmin extra soft you blow your nose with. But here's the thing about Jay Vidal. And we talk about him as like he was a grizzled veteran in this match. He's still young too. He's still got a lot of years ahead of him as well. But the difference between the two is that experience factor, and where the HBIC, for lack of a better term, of the AWF took advantage of is, Ricky Reyes' couple matches in his career, a little turn here, a little shift there, one move made a difference. And in this match, I mean, you make one false move against somebody like Jay Vidal, he will capitalize on it.
HBIC. Richie, before you share your viewpoint, do you mind to translate HBIC?
That translates it into head bitch in charge, otherwise known as Jay Vidal.
Gotcha. Okay, so what did you see when watching these two young competitors go at it?
I enjoyed it. I love, as you know, I'm a sucker for high-paced action. I love fast-paced action. I love when competitors know when to choose their shots, when to fly into the air, when to do the more technical moves, and that's a lot of what we saw in this match. And it was just a fun one, man. Like, I really loved it. It turned out how I expected it to. And again, I know you're saying that Vidal went in thinking like he was the grizzled veteran, but he, in comparison to Ricky Reyes, he's had a lot of experience, especially in the AWF. Now he's been on pretty much every show this last year. So I would say in comparison to Ricky Reyes, yeah, he is a veteran. He is more experienced, and it was the experience factor. The way he maneuvered into the Findy lock is what allowed him to win the match. And I don't think Jay Vidal in his rookie year would have been able to perform that move the way he did in comparison to how Ricky Reyes is again in his rookie year.
Yeah, and I think you're completely right. I mean, let's look at some of the names that he's sort of come across here in the AWF, the competition that he's, if not scored victories over, then hung in there. I mean, Hammerstone. He, gave one hell of a match against Hammerstone, AWF state champion Ray Black, that I think resulted in the only match, one of the only shows he did miss in this calendar year due to injury, because he just wasn't medically cleared. He was ready to go, but just didn't get the medical clearance from AWF officials. Damian Drake, and the list goes on all the way back to, what really stuck out in your mind, JP, is that when he exploded on the scene about a year or so ago, or year and a half or so ago, against Andy Palafox. So not to mention his tag team work, not to mention his work with Parada, but yeah, I think it was amazing. I think he's calling it the BB lock. If you can guess what BB stands for, one guess when we're talking in reference to Jay Vidal. So the bad bitch lock, but the yeah, no, I think it was amazing. I think the AWF fan nation certainly got a kick out of it from a lot of people who's hearing that it was the match of the card. I think we just saw that in the chat from one of the fans also. But if you're there, that was an electric. There was so much energy in the match with that Vidal match, and he's able to score the victory. And whether it's going into the Unleashed tournament here at Overdrive coming up that we'll talk about in a bit, whether it's if he's looking at going after your boy JP Jordan Cruz in the state championship match or beyond, I think the future is bright for Jay Vidal, and I think it is shining extremely bright here in the AWF. This is a guy that everybody on the roster has to look out for.
From day one, when I said first time, he went up against Austin, and took an absolute beating. I said backstage, there are some people that have it, and then there are some people that have it. Jay Vidal has it. Now we'll discuss whether he crosses paths with Jordan Cruz in the future or not at a later date. But I'm telling you right now, this man will be holding some sort of belt in the AWF sooner rather than later, because the talent is there, the drive and desire is there, the toughness is there, the skill is there. He is as close to a 5-tool talent as you will see in this business. Jay Vidal has it all in spades.
Definitely. Richie, any thoughts before we move on to the next match?
No, I'm ready. Let's keep moving.
Alrighty, well then we have Chris Evans with Austin Cole accompanying to his side. Sort of a strange dynamic that's been unfolding as of late between those two. Of course, if you're not filled in, Austin Cole almost looked like he was going to rise up from his mentor's tutelage. But Chris Evans almost able to sort of keep him at bay and keep him by his side, and seems to still be doing the bidding. Definitely played a factor last night with Lawrence Tyler. So, Richie, what were your thoughts when you saw this? Chris Evans, of course, coming out with the victory over Lawrence Tyler, the 2021 AWF Wildcard Rumble winner, Lawrence Tyler. Richie, what were your thoughts when you were watching?
It was that was another match that I went in not sure what to expect, right? I knew both these guys were veterans. I knew it was going to be a very calculated, very technical match, but also it had the tendency to break down into a brawl, or had the potential to break down into a brawl, which in the end is what I think happened, or what I saw happen, is the match break down into a brawl with Austin Cole's interference. And I think, I know that led into some of the match decisions that were announced for Overdrive as well, but it was quite the fiasco.
Yeah, and JP, what were your thoughts when you saw this? So, first ever AWF champion going against the 2021 Wildcard Rumble winner. A match of, I guess, I mean, would you, the argument's being made right now, would you say a match of number one contendership proportions?
I think that's very fair to say. I mean, both of these men, Lawrence Tyler and Chris Evans, have, we discussed this last week, have accomplished so much in the Arizona wrestling scene and beyond, that, you know, and then what they've been doing in the AWF since the AWF returned and relaunched, it goes without saying. So this clearly was to me, a battle of positioning to see who might be next in line for whomever the champion might be, which you've already deemed was going to be, you know, Andy Palafox retained his belt. I mean, look, LT has that shot that's guaranteed to him, but Chris Evans it holds that you're next in line, and he got his ducks in a row, so to speak. And, you know, I think he came into this looking at this as, here's my shot.
Yeah, and it definitely, indeed, and sorry about the audio blip there, JP. Hopefully hopefully your ears aren't ringing too much, but what that was is playing a little too early, but we have, this is actually Chris Evans after the match, gents. We'll go ahead and listen in real quick here on just what he had to say after defeating Lawrence Tyler, addressing the AWF Fan Nation last night at Summer Explosion.
If you're just down blind to see that I just beat the 21 Royal Card Champion, fair and square in the middle of the ring. If I was going to do the math and I knew how to put 2 and 2 together, that would mean 2 plus 2 means I'm the number one contender for the AWF Championship.
So, of course, audio a little hard to decipher. That's straight from the event last night, of course. So if you had any trouble deciphering it, allow me to reiterate. That's Chris Evans addressing the Fan Nation after his match with Lawrence Tyler, gaining the victory and basically proclaiming himself the number one contender. Richie, what do you think about that? Jumps right on the mic and says, "I'm the number one contender. I deserve the shot at the championship next month at Overdrive." What do you think about that?
I mean, is he wrong? Like, you can't discount a win, right? A win's a win, no matter how you steal it, how you look at it, whatever. But I don't think he's wrong.
True. JP, chime in. What are your thoughts on it?
Like Richie said, I mean, how can you go against what he's done? How can you go against what he did last night? I mean, methods be damned. He beat the number one contender, and by virtue with his streak going on, beating the number one contender, that makes you next in line. I mean, I got nothing but love for LT, but man, I think he just got his spot taken from him.
Yeah, and of course the 2021 Wildcard Rumble winner Lawrence Tyler. That'll be a tricky one because we'll have to consult the rule book and see what AWF. Well, actually, no. If I'm not mistaken, they've already announced it, right? So, I mean, just as you guys are saying, it has been announced that Chris Evans has been voted as the #1 contender for the AWF Championship and will be taking on Andy Palafox, who defended against Jimmy Jacobs last night. We're up on a break. We'll talk a little bit more about that once we come back. You're listening to at Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly. And hey, if you are listening to us on Facebook Live right now, we appreciate you. Go ahead and give us a share. Let everyone know to tune in right now because we're going to be back for quite a bit of time here. So jump on with us. We're talking AWF Summer Explosion. We're going to have the rest of the results when we come back right here on RGCR, Red Gold Talk Radio, at Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to At Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly. And Richie and JP are having a little bit of a discussion about last night's matches. And they're just settling a couple things between themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started and get us rolling here on At Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly. So while they're going ahead and getting everything sort of settled and set straight, I'm going to run through the results again with you real quick. But before I do, just want to let you know that tickets for AWF Overdrive VIII are available. And they are available at ArizonaWrestlingFederation.com as we speak. So do not delay. This event will in fact sell out. This event is, you want to get your tickets quickly. It is available. If you have any concerns, questions, or run into any issues when ordering, of course, reach out to us on our Facebook page at Arizona Wrestling Federation or on Twitter with the handle at Pro Wrestling AZ. Tickets are just $20. It is taking place at the new AWF Arena in Phoenix, Arizona. And then also wanted to go ahead and let you know that the following segment coming up here is sponsored by the Arizona Wrestling Federation Academy, which is a pro wrestling school in the heart of Phoenix, Arizona. And we're accepting new students. So if you are interested or know somebody who is in becoming a professional wrestler, you can train with the likes of AWF legends, Lawrence Tyler, of course, we were just speaking of, the 2021 AWF Wildcard Rumble winner, and one half of Cookies and Cream, the AWF star Jay Garland. And you will learn the ins and outs of the pro wrestling business, such as in-ring, out-of-ring, psychology, and everything you need to become a professional wrestler in the state of Arizona, the southwestern United States, the United States itself, the world, and beyond. This is where you get your journey started in becoming a professional wrestler, so you can learn to train like a champion. At the AWF Academy, information again is at ArizonaWrestlingFederation.com or ArizonaWrestlingFederation.com/academy to set up your appointment to enroll today. You can go there and submit your information via the contact page, or I believe you can even just sign up right away. So we again here are talking about the AWF 2021 Summer Explosion here on At Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly. And while I wait for my co-host to join us once more, I'm just going to give you another quick rundown of the results as they happened at Summer Explosion. So, of course, we saw in a tag team match, the Brothers of Wrestling defeating Cookies and Cream via disqualification. Aiden Cole defeating Paradox with Sprayboy Roy at Aiden Colt's side. Jay Vidal defeating Ricky Reyes. Chris Evans defeating Lawrence Tyler, which leads us to where we left off, Richie. The AWF Women's Championship match. Brittany Brooks and her challenger, who was successful in defeating her, Viva Van, becoming the first ever two-time AWF Women's Champion in Arizona Wrestling Federation history. Richie, what did you think when you were watching this match here?
It was experience. Experience got the better of the match, and Viva Van's experience over Brittany Brooks just gave her the edge.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Who did you pick? Refreshment. Do you remember who your pick was out of the two, Brooks or Viva Van?
I'm not certain. I think I went Viva Van, if I'm not mistaken. I could have went Brooks because I believe in her momentum, but I want to say I went Viva Van because of the experience factor.
You know what? I'm fairly certain it's coming back to me now too. I think so because I do want to believe that I wanted you to pick me some lottery numbers after picking that. Because I definitely went Brittany Brooks, and I thought this was going to be the biggest victory of her young career. And I was not correct in that assessment. I was not correct in that guess. I think that on another night in a different universe and a different set of circumstances, I think that could have been the case. But yeah, not what we saw here, Richie, was it?
Not at all.
Yeah, so what we were looking at, so as we were watching the match, one thing that I noticed is I think that I don't want to say that Brittany Brooks was out of her league, but I think that Viva Van came to win gold. I definitely think that that's the biggest thing that I saw when we were watching this match last night.
She was pretty dialed in. She knew her objective, and she did what she had to get that objective.
Yep, and I think it definitely is it's interesting because Viva Van has come back with a mean streak since coming back to the AWF, and you're talking about a competitor who right now has been all over the, it almost seems like JP was talking about the if factor with some competitors a little bit ago, and Viva Van in the women's division right now seems to have it, not just, in our region, but almost industry wide right now. I mean, she's been competing in Los Angeles and Jacksonville and, and all over the map right now and scoring major victories. And I think this was sort of was this the coup de grace? And was everything just sort of leading up to this AWF Women's Championship victory? Because we saw it in the Super Bowl. I don't want to say that Brittany Brooks didn't perform or anything along those lines, because I think that she certainly stood a chance against Van, but I mean, it kind of looked like the Bucks and the Chiefs last night, didn't it, between these two?
It did, and that's a really good parallel. I really do think that it was all came down to the experience factor.
Yeah, and that definitely is it. And we saw Viva Van again. Congratulations on becoming the first ever two-time AWF Women's Champion in AWF history. Brittany Brooks, what I would say, and I was going to ask JP to give you a little bit of a pep talk. It looks like the people on his plane are still trying to get him connected here, but I know already what he would be telling you, Brittany, and I know you're listening here tonight. Keep your chin up. Even Pat Mahomes had a bad game. And I don't know if she's much of a football fan, but Patrick Mahomes is one of the newest, youngest, brightest rising stars in all of professional football. Brittany, I think that you are on par for course. You are on that same track. This is a loss, a big loss, but so early on in your career, I think that this is certainly the fact that you're here at all. The fact that you're so, could you say it that way? The fact that she's in the Super Bowl at such a young age, so early in her career, that speaks volumes in itself, doesn't it, Richie?
Oh, absolutely. It just shows that this wasn't even her first appearance at this type of stage, right? Like, she's had defense after defense in the last few months. And I think it was finally just that right challenger, that right opponent that was able to exploit all of the, I won't say inconsistencies, but all of the weaknesses that come with being a younger, less experienced competitor than yourself. And Viva Van had all the experience needed to capitalize.
Yeah, and I think the last thing I'd add on to that is just not to discount Viva Van's win by any means, but the stars just aligned. Just aligned. They were in Viva Van's favor. I would say, Brittany, keep your chin up, get back in the gym, keep training, because you will be back here. We will be talking about Brittany Brooks in this AWF Women's Championship picture for years and years to come. I'm sure of it. Richie, would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yep. So, but for the time being, here we go, entering into the second Viva Van era in the AWF Women's division. So again, Viva Van, congratulations. Moving on to our next match. And boy, I really wish he wasn't having technical problems, because this is JP's time that we allotted for him to sort of discuss his dog in the hunt, if you will, right? So surprisingly, he's I mentioned the powers that be a little bit earlier. I think they have it out for JP Yeager, and I shouldn't say that with a smile on my face laughingly, Richie, but somebody's got to forgive me. I may have to ask you to forgive me on this one, Richie.
On behalf of JP, who may not be as forgiving, I will forgive you.
Oh, he most certainly will not be, especially once he hears that and any bit of chuckling on my half. But nonetheless, AWF State Championship Gauntlet match. I think this one had a lot of hype going in, and I think it lived up to it, every little bit of it. So let's start at the beginning, shall we? Ray Black, defending champion, there really was ready to prove his, before we get into the match, how it transpired and everything, Had Ray Black gone the gauntlet, which I think, and we'll talk about this in a second, there's case to be made that he could have. How different of a tune would this be? How different of a song would we all be singing right now had Ray run the gauntlet and retained his championship in this, Richie?
It was an instance of temper again. It was just an issue where he couldn't control his temper and he did something he shouldn't have, and referee AB saw it and had to do what was right. And if it wasn't for temper, I think we would be singing a different tune.
Yeah, and I think that again, like, and that just comes back to what we've seen out of Ray Black, a hothead for sure. That's the case. So if you don't know what we're referring to, so Chubby Depp was kind of taking him to the limit. I mean, he had the crowd support behind him. Chubby Mania, which is catching fire, was eminent last night. I mean, Richie, can I tell you the amount of people I saw coming up to Chubby in the parking lot afterwards, taking pictures, high five, the Chubby chants that were running out there. It's amazing. Like, we're in at the ground level of the beginning of Chubby Mania. Can you feel that? The hair, I have goosebumps.
He's a charisma magnet. Everybody loves him, and you can't blame him. He has just an air of magnetism to him.
And that is putting it lightly, to say the absolute least. So unfortunately, not his night. It was not Chubby's night, although the fanfare was there and the electricity was there. Again, like you said, let's touch on that before we let's touch on Ray before. Yeah, man, I think that's, he was starting to get frustrated, took off the belt, was working Chubby into the corner. AB warned him repetitively many, many times. So, albeit some might, argue that the decision was to be made on a pinfall or submission. Of course, it always is at the discretion of the referee. And head official AB for the night was certainly used his discretion, to say the least. So Ray Black, once he took out, he just attempted to utilize that belt one too many times after being warned fairly. You can't be judged out. You have to maintain your composure, especially when defending your championship, right, Richie?
Absolutely. And normally you have the champion's advantage, right? Like if you get disqualified, if you let your temper get the best of you, you get to keep your title. Well, this isn't that type of match. And I don't know if Ray thought that as an oversight, where he didn't realize, I don't have champion's advantage. This match, I get DQ'd. Because we've seen Ray utilize his champion's advantage. That's he's no stranger to knowing what his advantage is as champion and knowing how to utilize it in an advantageous way. That's just part of Ray Black's toolkit. And I think he forgot that he couldn't use it the way he's used to using it in this match because of the nature of the match.
Yeah, and it's really tough to say if that was sort of game plan gone awry, if it looked good on the drawing board but didn't necessarily come out to it, or if that was just frustration and emotion getting the better of him, which he wouldn't be the first champion that's ever happened to. He's not going to be the last one. So Ray Black definitely was putting up a strong fight, eliminated by disqualification in this gauntlet match. So at that point, we knew we were getting a brand new AWF state champion. And, Ray Black was sort of in the history. The reign was in the history books at this point, right?
Absolutely. It was no matter what, the crowd was going to see a new champion be crowned.
Yep. And then that brought out the very next competitor, Joey Hendricks, which I think I have to say, and I don't know about you, Richie, and you let me know what your thoughts on it, but of this entire match, now, volumes can be said for Chubby, for Nino, which really impressed me, for Jordan, obviously, taking the championship. I think that coming out of this gauntlet match, I might be most impressed with Joey Hendricks. What are your thoughts on that, on how he did in the gauntlet here?
Seeing him go the distance, I mean, he went all the way to the end to lose to Jordan. I think without the Nino interference that happened after Nino's elimination, I won't say Jordan was going to lose, because obviously Jordan wasn't going to lose. It was too game planned. He was too ready. But I do think that maybe Hendricks would have been able to hang on just a few minutes longer to the inevitable victory of Jordan Cruz.
Yeah, and I definitely have to say that your Biased is starting to show through, Richie. I don't know what JP's paying you or what gifts you've been receiving in the mail from him, but I think that everybody had a fair shot at this. And by the way, if you're in the chat room right now on the Facebook Live, watch out. A monster just came in. I see that Capane happens to be in that chat room there. So everybody watch your backs real quick. But actually, you know, before we put the cart before the horse, I just wanted to do this real quick. So let's just spell out. We went over in the results. We didn't actually go through the order. So Ray Black came in first in the gauntlet, was defeated by Chubby Depp by disqualification because, as we talked about, the referee's discretion with the belt, utilizing the foreign object. Ray Black out of there. Joey Hendricks gets sent in. Joey Hendricks then able to defeat Chubby Depp, who I think, and we'll talk about that more in depth in just a little bit. And then Joey Hendricks also able to defeat Nino Black. Nino Black then seeming to, and this is where I really want JP on the line, is to sort of defend himself a little bit and defend his boy Jordan Cruz. Can we really call this the cleanest victory? Because Joey Hendricks was then attacked as Jordan Cruz was making his way to the ring. I don't believe he'd even set foot inside the ring yet. Nino Black wiped out Joey Hendricks. Would you say possibly doing his dirty work? Because it made Jordan's job a whole heck of a lot easier from that point on.
I don't know if it was intentionally to give Jordan an advantage. I wouldn't say that. I would think emotions got the better of him. I think he was pissed. He got the rug got pulled from underneath him, to say, and he took it out on what was in front of him, which was the man who pulled the rug out from under him.
Okay, so we don't have JP on, but this is the question I was really wanting to ask him. I'll ask you, because I know you're in the meetings, you're in the boardrooms, you're on the private jets with them. Well, I don't know how to ask it other than more directly. Richie, did Jordan hire Nino to take him out afterwards?
I won't say any pocketbook information, as that is illegal for me to disclose the private business dealings of the Triangle of Trust, LLC. However, I will say that a pocketbook talks and an injured loved gun walks away without the championship. And look, like I said, it wouldn't have taken that for Jordan to lose or for Jordan to win anyways. Jordan wasn't going to lose going into that match. It wasn't going to happen. What contingencies were taken to make sure that wouldn't happen, I can't say. But we knew going into that match that Jordan Cruz was going to walk out state champion and rename that title the Milwaukee State Championship, because it might as well be, because just like the Bucks owned the Suns, Cruz owns that championship.
Richie, and isn't your
did I say anything incorrect though? I didn't
part
say
of your
anything
family
incorrect.
Residents of Phoenix. They would not be happy with that. I happen to know that there are parts of your family who are season ticket holders for the Suns, right? And I believe they're listening.
We're not going to go into that allegiance. We'll talk more about the season ticket holders I have for the Vegas Golden Knights more than we will about the Suns. Those are the ones that are important.
Alrighty, but
I
nonetheless,
associate with winners.
The verdict is out. So that was some of the buzz last night. Of course, Jordan left fairly quickly. Left his jersey in the Raptors. Didn't exactly take the time to stick around, especially after coming out to a newly revamped Milwaukee Bucks winning the championship edition of his music. The Milwaukee Bucks jersey definitely got the goat of a lot of folks in the new AWF arena after the Bucks defeating the Suns for the championship. Almost like it was poking fun. I don't know that it was. I definitely get the psychology behind it. I think that he was playing a mind game, especially with Hendricks, who's from he's from Phoenix, right, as well. So not just with Hendricks, but any number of the AWF fan nation, as well as the members of the any Phoenix Suns fans in the match. So kudos to Jordan again. Not a begrudging congratulations, but congratulations nonetheless. So. Yeah, sounds like we're up on another break here, Richie, but we're going to try to get JP back on the line and see what he has to say. Again, verdict is out. I'm not going to say that Nino and Jordan were in cahoots, but that was a lot of the talk last night at the arena. So, nonetheless, Jordan Cruz, your new AWF State Champion, able to outlast the gauntlet and outlast a lot of great names such as Ray Black, Joey Hendricks, Chubby Depp, and Nino Black. So congratulations. We're up on a break. We're going to be right back. If you're listening to us on Facebook Live, hang in there and listen to some neat break music while we run some commercials and pay some bills on the station RGTR Red Gold Talk Radio. And Richie, we'll be right back.
Yes, we will.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here on At Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly. Myself, Gabriel Anders, alongside my counterparts and co-host, Richie Vegas, here on RGTR Red Gold Talk Radio, and for the first time ever, we're on Facebook Live, Richie. Say hi to all the people on all the different channels that we're just popping up on every single week now. Say hi to the people again, Richie.
Hello, people. We got to be making our multimedia moves, so it's about time we made our Facebook Live debut, and it's good to have you all joining us, be able to interact with us in the chat, as well as some of the members of the AWF roster, such as the Monster Campaign. Joey Hendricks is even in the chat too. A little bit of the Joey Hendricks experience on air with us tonight. Got a plethora of surprises.
Most definitely. We've seen Chubby Depp pop in the chat, the Monster Campaign. We've seen a myriad of fans, and the latest Joey Hendricks, the latest AWF star to pop in. I'll go ahead and take this one, Richie, since I'm the one who made the blunder. Apologies to Joey Hendricks. He wants us to clarify that he is most certainly not from Phoenix. So there you are. So I misspoke. Apologies, Mr. Hendricks, and it will not be repeated. That is for certain. So, Richie, we just got something in, though. Let's go ahead and take a listen. We have a message from Ray Black here that we're going to go ahead and play for you guys here in response to him being eliminated, as we were just talking about in the gauntlet again, by disqualification. And Chubby Depp was able to advance rather than Ray Black. So let's go ahead and take a listen here, Richie, and see what Ray Black had to say coming out of last night's match.
How does it feel, Chubby? How does it feel not to be the main attraction of the show? Not to be the goofball that's going down the aisles and making the people smile? Last night, you were part of a good match, a great one. But you know it was cut short because you looked so damn helpless. So damn helpless that the referee had to stop the match and call a DQ for you, big boy. Because you know what? My special Care Bear, I'm going to issue a challenge for you. Chubby, I'm going to give you the opportunity to get back, to earn some true grit. So, Chubby, any match you want to dawn on me, any match that you feel that you can beat the Prince of Grit, Ray Black, fist to fist, you do it. Because at the end of the day, Chubby, whether I'm cost my AWF title or not, everything I touch turns to gold.
Well, there's some fighting words, Richie.
There are some fighting words indeed. That's the gauntlet has been thrown.
Oh, most certainly. So, big news here, and it given to us for Ray Black issuing a challenge, presumably at Overdrive VIII. Yeah, I would imagine is their next opportunity to sort of, throw down here. Wow. So Ray Black very unhappy. And I don't know, do you get the sense that he kind of maybe blames Chubby Depp for his elimination and losing his AWF State Championship, Richie?
I would think so. It's got to be what it is. It has to be rage. It has to be wanting his comeuppance. It's a revenge play, and I would be wary if I was Chubby Depp in accepting this challenge, because I know Chubby's going to accept it. He's Chubby Depp. He's not going to run away from a good time, and to him, a chance to beat Ray on equal footing and in a match of his choosing. So really, with an advantage, I think he's going to say yes. But it feels like this is all a trap by the Prince of Grit.
Yeah, and ever the cerebral, easy for me to say, cerebral strategist, Ray Black, for sure. So you have to think he has something up his sleeve, but at the same time, leaving it so open-ended, I mean, it could be anything. If Chubby has the say in, anytime, any place, name your weapon type, it's almost like an old street fight in the streets of New York, right?
Or an old Western duel.
Yeah, exactly. More appropriate for us out here in the desert. But Yeah, it'll
And
be
for the Prince of Grid.
most certainly. And just looking over my notes here, I'm not seeing, Richie, you're not seeing any memo, are you, from the AWF officials? I don't believe anything's been solidified yet, right?
No, nothing is official.
Okay.
There is no official match in the record books, just an official challenge laid out.
Right. So for those of you keeping score at home, we assume that the challenges will be taking place at Overdrive. Chubby Depp, if accepted, Chubby Depp has yet to respond. So I'm scouring sort of both memos and social media and all the different channels we have here. I don't see anything yet from Chubby. We will keep you posted, especially if it happens before we go off air. We'll certainly keep you posted and in the know. But as of right now, the challenge has been extended from Ray Black to Chubby Depp, almost sort of a pick your poison type scenario. And man, what a shootout at the OK Corral we're looking to have here, aren't we, Richie?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's probably a bit before your time, isn't it, Richie?
Hey, I like westerns. I was raised in the West. I know my gunslinging, gun toting, rooting too. Okay, I'm gonna stop before I get ahead of myself.
Okay, there you go. That's not why they kicked you out of Vegas, is it? I was gonna say I thought I'd take you for more of a flashing fluorescent lights and ching 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 ring a.
Hey, Vegas has it all. Vegas has it all too. Okay,
something for everyone, that's for sure. It's a good vacation spot. I love it for sure. So, speaking of flashing lights and showmanship and all sorts of all of the above, our main event. Let's get right into it then. Jimmy Jacobs coming in to challenge current AWF champion Andy Palafox. Richie, or as you talked about, this is somebody that you've watched growing up and you've been following for the the last good chunk of time here, following the almost the rising back to prominence of Andy Palafox. When you saw this match, first and foremost, how excited were you going into this match, being able to see these two level of competitors squaring off in an AWF ring?
I mean, I knew it was going to be a shootout. I knew it was going to be a match that went down to every last advantage, every last wire. Like it was going to be a match. It was going to be a huge challenge for both men, and it was a spectacle to watch. It's very fun.
Definitely. And so in watching, what were some of the key points, the biggest takeaways that you saw? Of course, again, if you didn't hear earlier in the episode here, Andy Palafox was able to retain against Jimmy Jacobs, but it was a hard-fought battle going both ways. Richie, what were sort of some of the key points, the key takeaways that you saw with these two men doing battle and going at it?
I mean, it was hold for hold. It felt like a well-planned chess match. Every single hold had a counter move. Every single counter move was countered by another hold. There was something. It's like both men had game planned as hard as they could, went in, and it was a chess match.
Most certainly. And, at any point in time, could you say, because I know the fan nation couldn't, because it seemed like, something would happen and they were on Andy's side, and then something would happen and they were on Jimmy Jacobs' side. And it almost seems like, as much as I'm sure the majority were rooting for Andy, the hometown hero, at the same token, they were watching such a great match between two fierce competitors. It almost seems like it could have gone either way. Was it at any point in time, did you, were you calling it for one competitor or the other? Did you say, they've gotten in the bag?
I try to stay unbiased, right? Like that's my job, is to stay unbiased, to report and to observe. But there were several points in the match where I in my head, I was writing out my headline of Jimmy Jacobs stuns the world and takes the championship. Andy Palafox defeats the most powerful outsider he's faced. And it was flipping back and forth depending on who was in control, because the control shifted so much in this match.
That's such insanity. And I did, by the way, look out for it. We are going to have a well-earned and well-deserved and long overdue, I should say. That's what I was trying to say. Interview with Andy Palafox coming up here on That Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly soon. Not tonight, but soon, I promise you. That will be hitting the airwaves, and this will most certainly be one of the topics that we'll be discussing, because it'll be that and him getting ready for Overdrive, taking on Chris Evans. But man, what were some of the biggest highlights that you recall from this match, Richie?
Whew. First of all, the crowd reaction. That was a highlight for me. Everybody seemingly in the same boat I was, flipping back and forth between who was going to win. Several sequences where it was just counter after counter after counter after counter. And especially going into the finish, I had my breath held because kick out at 2.9 seconds seemed to happen every pinfall attempt.
Oh man, and you would expect nothing less from these two competitors as well. So, I mean, by the end of it, I think everybody was exhausted. Everybody was more than drawn just from the sheer excitement of this match. But at the end of the day, Andy Palafox able to prove that not only is he a fighting champion, not only is he Arizona's champion and the Arizona Wrestling Federation champion, but what is the impact, Richie? Like, what would you have to say defeating a Jimmy Jacobs? He comes into your house where you've been since day one, fighting the good fight, flying the AWF banner. Like, what is the impact in your mind, like psychologically and just overall, being able to have such an accomplishment, such a notch on your belt? I mean, for Andy, it's just another notch, but what is the impact, would you say, Richie?
I think that the impact just shows it's a statement. It was a statement victory. You can't beat me.
And
that's what that statement was, is you cannot beat me.
And it'll definitely be interesting, especially as we move forward. So taking a look at it, of course, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if it's not up already, you can actually watch this match. So I'm going to take a little time, tell you where to watch it. You can actually watch this. This should be going up on our YouTube, on youtube.com/Arizona Wrestling Federation. I believe you can also find it youtube.com/Pro Wrestling AZ. Or, of course, if you're not already subscribed, search for Arizona Wrestling Federation, subscribe to the channel, and if it's not up already, you should be able to watch the match in its entirety. I believe it might be an arena feed or something along those lines, but the entire match between Jimmy Jacobs and Andy Palafox. So, and of course, you'll also see it on the website, ArizonaWrestlingFederation.com, as well as the social media outlets. So once that hits, we'll definitely let you know. It doesn't look like it's up there just yet, but stay tuned because that will be coming. But now moving forward, right? So Andy Palafox, you can only celebrate for so much, for so long, right? Because you're still the AWF champion now. And it doesn't end. It's not like getting a Super Bowl ring or a World Series ring, asterisk. Or it's not... Did you catch that, Richie?
I did.
We're going to move past it. We'll explain that at a later time.
We'll move past it.
Inside joke between Richie and I, but it's not like that culmination of a season, right? You have to keep going. It's professional wrestling. Your championship defenses are going to be ongoing. So, what if you had to take a step inside the mind of Andy Palafox, and you spent all this time preparing and the preparation leading up to this match and training for Jimmy Jacobs now, and it's been officially announced, now you have to sort of reset the gears, right, for Chris Evans, because now he has Chris Evans, another formidable opponent who is hungry and looking to regain his championship that in his mind he deserves and should be back around his waist. Step inside the mind of Andy Palafox. What do you have to be thinking as a champion, just switching gears so quickly?
I mean, it's funny you say switching gears as we're going into Overdrive, but I think he is calculated, right? Like, he knows, I just beat Jimmy Jacobs. What's a Chris Evans compared to a Jimmy Jacobs, right? And Chris Evans himself there is no doubt that he is a seasoned competitor, and he's another huge challenge to hurdle over. But at this point, you have to wonder, does Andy have his number? And I think the biggest thing that Andy would be thinking about right now isn't even the fact that he has Chris next. It's the fact that LT is still waiting in the wings with that cash in, or that wild card that he could just deal at any time.
This is true. So let's take a look at it from another dynamic then, right? So you almost have to, do you prep for two guys? Like, what do you do in the scenario? Because you have Evans waiting in the wing, or I guess waiting on deck, but you have LT somewhere in the stadium who could, essentially play the wild card at any point in time. Like, what sort of mindset do you like? How do you draw up a strategy for that, Richie? Like, what does that even look like?
I think a strategy for that is not overlooking the man in front of you, right? You have a challenge in front of you that you have to be ready for. You have a challenge in front of you that you have to get through. You have to win that match. You can't ignore that, right? You have to be prepared for that match, that one opponent. But I think he has to be looking over his shoulder to be ready, to be expecting LT at any moment.
Absolutely. And with that being said, then, can that play a factor? Do you think, does that, or I should say, is that a heavy enough factor to where are we looking at potentially Chris Evans almost gaining an advantage because Evans doesn't have to look over his back. Evans doesn't have to worry about LT at any point in time sort of coming out of the woodwork. Chris Evans,
even if he did, he has Austin Cole watching his back.
True, because we're not seeing Andy walk into these matches with Danny G on the outside or in the locker room. Danny G's injured right now. Danny G is not a factor, whereas we've seen in the past. Now, typically they don't because they're both men and they let each other fight each other, their own fights. But at the same token, we know that Andy and Danny are best friends. At the same token, like Danny's not around. There's almost no backup, right? So
that's correct.
Yeah, like when you're looking at it. So I mean, I guess in that aspect, Andy almost has to look at watching out for three individuals, right? Because he's got Chris Evans coming up at Overdrive. He's got LT waiting in the woodwork. He's got Austin Cole floating around at ringside. How do you manage all that?
You can't. You have to kind of let the situation sort itself. If you don't let the situation sort itself, then you think yourself into a corner.
Yeah, and it almost seems like he's just gonna have to go out there and fight. I guess really is the biggest thing. I mean, you can, because I think that's a great point you made, because you can strategize all day, but the last thing you want to do is sort of over strategize, right? And stay so far inside your own head that you sort of do yourself in. So, but we are gonna go ahead and. Richie, we are right up on a break right now, so we're going to go ahead, hit the break right now real quick, and then as we do, that's what a challenge Andy has coming up for him. That's, to say the least. But when we get back here on That Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly, we're just going to take a little break, come right back, and we'll be talking all of the matches that were announced for Overdrive VIII. August 14th at the new AWF Arena in Phoenix. This one's going to sell out, so make sure you get your tickets quick. And, do that during the break. Richie, jump on your phone right now. I'm going to jump on mine. You guys do that too. And get your tickets for Overdrive VIII at ArizonaWrestlingFederation.com. And while you do, we will be right back here on At Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly on RGTR Red Bull Talk Radio. And for the first time ever, Facebook Live on the Arizona Wrestling Federation Facebook page. We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and we are in the home stretch here on At Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly. Thank you so much for tuning in on RGTR Red Gold Talk Radio, Facebook Live. We are new to it, but you can expect us here each and every week as long as, apparently, as long as we're able to, right? As long as we don't get kicked off, right?
As long as we own the airwaves, we'll be here.
That works. So, at Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly, we are going to go ahead and cover now, Richie, all of the announcements that were made today, and there is a slew of them. So, first and foremost, as we're getting these all out to you, if you haven't caught the announcements, then tisk, you know what that means. You're not following us on social media, so Richie, where should they follow us if they want to know all the latest and greatest AWF information on the worldwide interwebs?
Well, if you're listening live, you're already on the Facebook. That's the first step. And do not forget to go to twitter.com and follow Arizona Wrestling Federation at Twitter.
On At Pro Wrestling AZ. Of course, name of the show, right? At Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly. There's a method behind that madness. It's also the Twitter. So you can also find us Arizona Wrestling Federation on YouTube. So if you go to youtube.com, search for Arizona Wrestling Federation. Give us a subscribe over there because you can find different interviews, different matches, highlights, and all that good stuff. And of course, episodes of this show. So if you happen to miss a week live, hey, that's okay. You can catch up on our YouTube. So, also on RGTR Red Gold Talk Radio and listen to all the great shows, our sort of partnered brother and sister shows, if you will, on the Red Gold Talk Radio family. But now let's do it, Richie. Before we get on out of here, let's look at some match announcements that we are going to be seeing at Overdrive VIII, the biggest wrestling show of the summer in Arizona, and it is going down August the 14th. The new AWF Arena that's going to be in Phoenix, Arizona, just north of downtown, in the heart of the capital city of the state of Arizona. Wow. Where do we start on this one? I know I ask you that so much, and we usually start at the beginning's the answer, but what all the matchup announcements? What stands out to you, Richie? We've covered a couple of them here, but there's so many that have been. I'm just rolling through them all here. What stands out to you? What made you say wow, or the first one to make you say wow today?
Well, first off, the Triple Threat Tag Team Championship match is a big jaw dropper. We got the Brothers of Wrestling. We got the current champions, RMB, and we have Cookies and Cream in a Triple Threat Tag Team Championship match. That's a jaw dropper. We have the inaugural, the first ever AWF Anniversary Cup Invitational, which I'm sure we're going to go over more in the next few weeks as the participants are announced. And, of course, we have the Gold Rush Tournament, with the first two matches in that bracket being Bryn Thorne versus Aguila versus Matt Vandergriff versus Jay Vidal. And the second match being Ricky Reyes, Joey Hendricks, Aiden Colt, and Paradox. So those are the ones that were my biggest jaw droppers.
Yeah, and that Unleashed Gold Rush Championship tournament, that is going to be a doozy. I mean, let's break that down again. And so just to let you know, AWF Gold Rush tournament is traditionally an elimination tournament, but it's a little different than your traditional, bracketed tournament, right? So there are two brackets. And a lot of times, so this year is actually going to be more the traditional route for this Gold Rush tournament at Overdrive. We're going to see two 4-way elimination matches. So rather than pairing everybody off in almost a bracket type tournament, both brackets are going to be in one match elimination. So again, bracket 1, as you listed off, Bryn Thorne. Of course, we knew that she was entering it right about the time that the tournament was announced. So kudos to her for jumping right in. Also, another one that we're going to be bringing on the air here did get the clearance. We just got to get schedules to line up. So Bryn said she will come on, and we definitely want to send me some questions that you have for her, because we want to hear all about her sort of putting the women's championship competition on hold to sort of take about, what's been about 2 months now to prep up, and she could be, Richie, the very first ever woman's, or not women's Unleashed champion, but woman competitor to win the AWF Unleashed Championship. Wouldn't that be something?
It would be insane.
And that would only be the type of accomplishment that we would, that we've come to expect from Bryn Thorne, who's a fierce competitor in her own right. And of course, she has some competition to get there. So Bryn Thorne's bracket is going to be with facing Aguila, Matt Vandergriff, and Jay Vidal, which right there, I mean, good luck to Bryn, because that, just the first bracket alone out the gates is going to be some dangerous competition. And then on the other side, she'll be, not to focus all on Bryn, but anybody who wins that first bracket is going to have to compete in a finals match against the winner of the other bracket. Said other bracket is I think at first, when this was being talked about in the AWF, in the hallways of AWF HQ, I think that Ricky Reyes entering into the secondary bracket was more of a footnote to a lot of folks, but after what we saw with him and Jay Vidal, I mean, you got to expect he's a contender now, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me, he's been a contender for a while.
Yeah, and I definitely know that he might have been being, slept on, as you could say. But like he's after what he showed us against Jay Vidal, you can sleep on him no more. That's for sure. So we have Ricky Reyes, Joey Hendricks, Aiden Colt, and Paradox. This is a stacked tournament.
It is this just shows how important the Unleashed title is to all the competitors in the AWF. Everybody wants it. Everybody who's anybody wants that title.
Absolutely. And this is, when they announced that the Unleashed Championship was going to be reintroduced, I think it sparked a lot of ears. I know your ears perked up once you heard it. I think you and JP had serious conversations about if one of you would be entering into the tournament. I know I briefly debated it, but I had to remember that I have no wrestling acumen, nor stood in any chance with these AWF stars whatsoever. But I mean, the Unleashed Championship is a big deal, a lot of legacy behind it, and I mean, just with the competitors that have entered into this tournament right there, like, there you go. Like, I don't even know if, I think by the time we went off air, when it was introduced a few weeks ago, I think the spots were already filled. So if I'm not mistaken, that's why JP did not send you out to your death, right? Or I mean, help you enroll into the tournament, right?
Have more faith in me than that. I'm a sound decision maker, and I knew this wouldn't be the right opportunity for me, but that doesn't mean that we didn't consider it. Okay.
Very, I believe so, and well, as we're taking a look here, so that in its own, now what it still does have spots open, Richie, is that Anniversary Cup Invitational. So again, if you're hearing this on the airwaves, this AWF first ever AWF Anniversary Cup Invitational is a true invitational, open to anybody who can qualify and get medical clearance to compete in this match. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes in, who really wants to win this Anniversary Cup. And have you seen the list of names? I mean, they're coming from everywhere. They're coming from locally here in Phoenix. They're coming from all the way from Tucson, Yuma, Flagstaff, just to name the local in-state. I mean, I've seen applications in from Mexico, Canada, so everywhere down to, I think I saw one from Belize. The other, like, there's applications coming in from China. It's ridiculous, Richie. Have you gotten your hands on seeing this?
I have. I do have firsthand information, as always, when it comes to the ongoings of talents being scouted and people reaching out to want an opportunity. And now we have to go more in depth. What are the rewards at stake for victory in this battle royal?
So nothing's been released, but we're gonna talk about, because Richie and I have you guys hooked up and set up here on At Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly. So they're going to get a nice trophy, a very, very sizable one if everything goes through that it's looking like it will. You're going to get notary. I mean, just alone being the first ever Anniversary Cup winner, that's going to have, just like being the first wild card Rumble winner or being the first Gold Rush tournament winner, that can definitely, I mean, if it's somebody who, even anybody in the Unleashed tournament or anybody who's looking to make a name for themselves in this business, this is the way to do it, because you're going to be catapulted into the limelight, essentially, right? So, like, AWF will be put on notice if you win this match. There are different talks of the different rewards. So, I mean, everything from it looks like the spots are filled up now, but there's a potential to get into the Unleashed Championship tournament later in the night. There was an opportunity to, Nova's right around the corner, so a very prominent match on the AWF Nova cards. I mean, everything's been being discussed to 30th entrant in the Wildcard Rumble next year in 2022, a spot at next year's Overdrive, a spot, at any one of the future shows coming up. I mean, there's even people in the hallways talking about a potential #1 contendership status as a possible prize. So nothing yet has been announced, but I mean, this could be big, and this will certainly make, launch, or recatapult any career for anybody who wins this match, Richie.
Absolutely. It sounds like the biggest opportunity out there right now for anybody looking to make a name for themselves.
This is. So, again, at ArizonaWrestlingFederation.com, there's a contact information section. Anybody who is looking to compete in the Invitational, go ahead and send that through. And, of course, make sure that you're subscribed to us on YouTube and all the social media so that you can get all the updates on that Invitational match. But, one match that really jumped out to me, I mean, obviously the championship match. So Andy Palafox is taking on Chris Evans. That was reported to us. So, you know what? I want to say, though, we sort of laughed him off last night, right? When Chris Evans told the world, basically, that he's going to get the #1 contendership and that he can do it because he has the most clout in the company. Well... Were we wrong for laughing?
Wrong? Yeah, I think we were. I think at this point, this is just proven like he could cash the check that his mouth was writing.
Yeah, so I don't know if Chris Evans has an into the office, if he has, a connection or a series of connections we're not aware of, or whatever the case may be, but apparently, seemingly, I should say, Chris Evans definitely has some clout, so... Chris, that one, of course, jumps off the board at me. We'll go through some of the other ones here. Women's Championship will be on the line. So, newly crowned champion, Viva Van, two-time AWF Women's Champion Viva Van, will be taking on Sarah the Rebel. Are you familiar with Sarah the Rebel, Richie?
I am not.
Okay.
I have to say I am not.
So, fierce competitor coming out of, I want to say, California. I believe is where she's either California or Vegas, one of the two. I'll double check and I'll correct it next week, because if one of them is right, then one of those is wrong, right? So we'll get that information next week. But Sarah the Rebel, making her AWF debut, has sort of tagged along with Ricky Mandel in the past. So I know that the last time we've seen her here in the AWF, I believe that, I don't know if her and Ricky were, or at least she was referring to, all the little creatures or critters. I say critters because I'm not. Ricky's told me that they're alive. I thought those were inanimate objects, but it might not be the case. So but nonetheless, so she's been a tag along. Might be a little bit of a different challenge for Viva Van at Overdrive.
Definitely, if she can get in Viva Van's head like no other competitor has been able to, it'll be an interesting matchup, I think.
Absolutely. And then so it'll be interesting to see there. And another match. So this one really jumps out at me. So I almost feel, I shouldn't say that. I'm going to need some protection after saying I almost feel sorry for Austin Cole, but Lawrence Tyler, not a happy camper. He appealed to the AWF officials too, also has a little bit of clout, possibly looking at a little bit of a revenge. He's fighting Austin Cole.
I think Austin Cole is in trouble. I think he should have thought before he did Evans's bidding. I think he should have really thought it out, because now he has an angry LT going after him, and I think that's the last person that you want going after you when they're mad.
Absolutely, and I want to say, again, not to discount the young Austin Cole by any means, but Richie, I know Lawrence Tyler. You know Lawrence Tyler. I've known him for a very long time. We know happy Lawrence Tyler. We know competitive Lawrence Tyler. We know hungry for wins Lawrence Tyler. This is angry Lawrence Tyler.
That is not something or someone you want to deal with on any day for any reason. Whoever has to deal with it, in this case Austin Cole, is in a world of trouble.
That is for certain. If you think that we saw something in the street fight from Lawrence Tyler when he fought Pete the Heat just a few months ago, oh boy, Austin, you better do some research. You better watch your tape because, again, not to discount or discredit the youngster, but holy moly, that was the tip of the iceberg of how mean, how nasty, and how ruthless Lawrence Tyler can be, and I think he's going to be out for blood, Richie. That's my thought.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So, and then another one, we still haven't got JP back, but Jordan Cruz is going to be, well, we're going to see, because you guys are very high on the Jordan Cruz, and as I think he's a very talented competitor. First challenge right out the gates is going to be a tough one. Him and Michael Hopkins. What did you think when you saw this one?
I think, again, I'm going to keep any biased opinions non-withholding, but I think the suits in the office are still out to get Jordan here. Because
Really, Richie? Really?
Listen,
we're talking about doing bidding. Talk about doing some bidding, will you?
Listen to my logical explanation.
Hey,
for this,
JP,
right?
don't worry. Tell your tech guys, they don't have to worry. Richie's got it covered for the triangle, apparently.
Listen. No, there's a sound, logical reason behind this. Look at who Ray Black's first challenge was. Aguila, right? If the record books are not mistaken, Aguila wasn't on a win streak when he went against Ray Black.
No, but Aguila is a very accomplished AWF star. He's a former AWF Unleashed champion. What are you driving at?
Did I ever say he wasn't talented? That's not at all what I said. What I said was first challenger wasn't on a win streak. Michael Hopkins is on a win streak. Michael Hopkins, he's on fire. That's gonna be trouble.
I think that those are very sound reasons for this young competitor, Michael Hopkins, to get a shot at the biggest show of the summer at Overdrive.
Maybe later, but as a first challenge, that's not a fair warm-up challenge for Jordan. It doesn't matter. I mean, Jordan's going to win anyways. But as a first challenge, come on.
I think you're getting paranoid. Are the boots shaking? I feel like the boots are shaking in the triangle. Is that why JP's not here, Richie?
Look, success comes in many forms, all right? And shaky boots are not one of those forms. All we think about is success.
Alrighty. Well, another match, of course. An announcement before I get into this other match. So, Watson will be appearing at Overdrive. I believe we'll be in competition. I'm just double checking here. So we'll be at Overdrive VIII. I believe they're still working out the details of the contract for his match. And then I think the last one, as I'm double checking here, Hunter Freeman back from his injury to take on Ricky Mandel. And If you guys haven't seen these two compete, that gets my ticket money. You know me, Richie. I'm a big Ricky Mandel fan. I'm a big Hunter Freeman fan. So it'll be interesting to see if, speaking of Sarah the Rebel, if Ricky will have her in his corner or if she'll be too busy, preparing for her championship match. I guess, right?
Correct. It will be interesting to see where their focuses lie, if their focuses lie together, if they're going to be doing their own things and giving each other the space to do their own things. Who knows? They could both be going for individual domination. They could both. It all depends.
Yeah, the possibilities are limitless, but the one thing's for sure is that in order to find out, you are going to have to get your tickets to Overdrive. So again, those are the the matches announced thus far for Overdrive VIII, the biggest show of the summer in Arizona. You won't want to miss it. Tickets will sell out, so go to ArizonaWrestlingFederation.com and get yours right away. Tell your friends, tell your family to get theirs as well, and tell everybody in the fan nation that they got to get theirs. Richie, your voice sounds a little tense. I still think I feel like I hear a little boot shaking on your end over there still.
No, I'm as cool as a cucumber. It's all in your head.
Alrighty, if you say so, but great matches announced. We went ahead and had a great time at Summer Explosion last night, and onward and upward, right? So, Overdrive VIII, August 14th, and this is your official Overdrive show. We're going to keep you in tabs with all the latest developments. Next week, we're going to go over the matches more in depth, give some of our analysts and insights. May or may not have JP on. We'll see if the powers that be are going to continue to silence him. That's what he just texted me right now, that he's 159% certain that the AWF officials did in fact silence him today. So, verdict's out on that. I don't know. What do you think, Richie? Is that it's not a real percentage?
I think it's unfair to silence such a educated opinion, and I'm sure we'll have him with us next week.
Well, hopefully we will, so that we can get his expert analyst opinion. And as for us at Pro Wrestling AZ Weekly, we thank you so much for listening. I want to make sure that you keep tabs, so follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and always check us out at ArizonaWrestlingFederation.com. We will be right back next week. Gabriel Anders is myself. You are Richie Vegas. So, for all of us here on RGTR Red Gold Talk Radio, Richie, say bye to the people.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a fantastic week. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you soon.
Alrighty, that will do it. So, yeah, I don't know how this all works. So, I mean, it kept us connected the entire time. So, yeah, and we had engagement. People were jumping on. I'm sure as we do it more and as we sort of, yeah, duh. I ended the live stream, so now it's